Hello and welcome back to Elvenhome, and the latest update on the layout. It's been just over a month since I last did a video, and I have spent most of that month wiring. Some of it struggling with wiring and some of it being rather more successful. The layout, as you can see, is in a state of some disarray, partly because various boards have been taken out to enable me to start wiring them. The main one, which I'm going to show you in a minute, is in that hole there. One of the little boards that contains a double slip and a point which controls access to the bay platform and allows the branch line train both to get out onto the down main and also then to get on its way back off the up main and back into the bay, crossing over the down main as it does it. I've also been busy getting to grips with wiring the points. You can see on this board here that has a set of facing points which are all wired into one switch, because obviously you wouldn't have one point set to go across the crossing and not the other. And also the far point there, which is facing away, provides access to the siding that will go into where the brewery is, among other things. And those are indeed now wired in, and they work. You can hear them. I mean, I'm not going to go too close, but you can hear them working from the switches that are down below me. As I come round, there we go. Those are all wired in. All six of those have been soldered up, and the wires are dropped down underneath. I'll show you in just a moment where they are. And the holes are drilled, ready to receive the wires for the others. Don't worry about that for the moment. And these also now have been soldered and wired in, and these three here will eventually be the ones that control the 2-point motors on the double slip and the point that comes off the up main across the double slip. But I did have a bit of problems when I first wired in the points that I was just showing you. I had a short circuit, couldn't work out, checked and rechecked, and eventually switched 2 wires over and the short circuit disappeared. Still don't quite understand why I didn't think of that sooner, but you learn as you go along with all the wiring and things. Let's just come out a bit to give a bit more space here, because the main thing, which is precariously perched on top of a table, mainly because there are wires coming from it presently. There we go, that's more like it. I'll just bring my lamp down so you can see. Here we have the board that controls the access to the station. The line at this end comes off the bridge, which you'll have seen in an early video of me building, just the normal short bridge. And the 2 lines here carry on round to the main island platform. But a train coming from this direction needs to cross over the main line and to go, and this will be the entrance to the bay platform. As you know, I was very nervous about wiring a double slip, and then it suddenly fell into place. When I looked at the Pico N-gauge book, it just made sense, and I was determined to wire them using micro switches. And indeed, when I first set out to do all the wiring here, I recorded a piece of video on micro switches, putting them together, getting them to work. The only problem was I couldn't get them to work. As you'll see underneath when I turn this over, I need to be able to see this same as you do. There we go. These are the 2-point motors, and underneath them sit the micro switches, which I need to be able to affix to the board, so they have to sit that side. You can in fact sit these micro switches the other way up if you're fitting the point motor directly into the point through a larger hole, but that's not what I'm doing. And the problem was I couldn't adjust the switch sufficiently to get it to change the polarity of the frog. So looking again at the double slip, I could get a train to go straight across. So effectively use this as a diamond crossing. So it would go straight across. The moment I tried to get the train to travel in this direction, so coming from here and bending round, immediate short circuit, and that's because this frog was not changing polarity. Now, in reply to one of my earlier videos, Rodney Bates suggested to me that I really seriously should think about a frog juicer. And I bought the micro switches, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at trying to do them, because they are it is relatively straightforward to wire. But the fact that I couldn't solve the problem and adjust the micro switches without having to take these off every time and a little bit of adjustment, put it back on, and then it still doesn't work. And frankly, I could be doing fiddly adjustments forever and a day and still not get it right. So I plumped on Saturday, it was at Model Rail Scotland, went to the Digitrains stand and said, I'm trying to wire a double slip. What's the right frog juicer to do that? And they said, you want a dual frog juicer. And essentially, I got it back home on Sunday morning. I sat down and thought, well, I better get my head around wiring this. 5 minutes later, it was wired, and I ran a pannier train across the point, across the double slip, and it worked first time. And I've tested it several times since, and the pannier quite happily now traverses the double slip in any direction that I wish it to go. And essentially what the frog juicer does, for those who've never come across them, is that it detects if there is a short circuit because the polarity of the frog is different to the direction in which the train is travelling, and it immediately changes the polarity. And it does it really quickly, so quick that your system won't pick up that there's a potential short circuit. This cost me $26.75, and I would strongly urge anybody to get them if you're wiring a double slip, because the wiring is very simple. These green cables here are soldered onto the wire that comes off the double slip on the frog. So these are each from the two frogs. They go into there. This is power coming straight from the power bus. I suspect I could use, there's two cables under these blue insulating tape which come down from the stock rails. I suspect it would work if I used them because the slip itself is powered separately. That's why it's all wired up here. These two wires come off powering the two stock rails. But I'm not prepared. I'm not going to take any chance with that. I'm going to power the frog directly. So the last thing I've got to do is finish wiring up the point, the switches on there. I've not got that working yet, just to make sure that it's changing the polarity of the frog on the switch. And that board will be then done, and it can go back into its place, and hopefully get some power into the track on the siding and start running trains in and out the siding, because it's all the testing needs to be done to make sure that works smoothly. But the wiring has taken a lot of time, particularly the trial and error when I first started, and just getting your head around the fact that you can do all this stuff is quite entertaining. Similarly, the wiring underneath this board here, which I'm just going to take, excuse me a moment, I'm just going to give you a short lift to take you off the tripod and get you down under here so that you can see what is going on. And with a bit more light, it's even better. There we go. Essentially, as you can see, this is all going to be wired in where the switches come down. They go onto some chop blocks, and then cables will lead off to whichever of the points are needed. Try and give a bit more light. There we go, that's a bit better. So that's all set, getting ready. As I said, the far end one, they've all been wired up and they've all go in, and many of them have been used actually for testing various bits of points. This lot is just being done. I should be using red and yellow cables for the points, but I've been so used to using brown and blue for the drops and everything else. I merrily did all those before I realised I'd used the wrong colour. But there we go. So that will mean that this will all be fairly completed soon. and then I can lift this board, which contains most of the point motors, as I said, and also the turntable, and start wiring all those in. And that's really quite critical, because once that's done, I will be able then to start doing some more real serious scenic work. But equally, some of the scenic work I'm going to want to try and do whilst I've got the board off, because then I won't be stretching over track, and that's particularly important here. When I built this layout, I measured that I could get right to the back corner, and I can, providing there's nothing down here. So I'll be doing the scenic work in that back corner, at least the most basic part of it, probably before I finish putting all the track back in and the curved viaduct and all that sort of stuff. I went to B&Q to find a nice colour for my baseboard, and I've started having a go. This is called Forest Earth, which seemed to be just the right sort of thing, so that looks quite good. That probably will be covered over, because I think I'm going to have the embankment going up there. But that's all to go on. The painting of that will be done. I've also, you can see the station is in place there. I bought the next 3 kits that will complete the length of the station. So I'm looking forward to that. I can get on with building that and building the other buildings that will go in there. And I had a useful conversation with the guys from Kites Lights at Model Rail, and have bought the lamps that will light the station. The first go at lighting, and then I'll get some more lights to actually put inside the buildings for the station, so that that's lit as well. All of that is yet to come, but that was quite good. And I bought my first lots of ballast. So what I may well do is have a go at doing some ballasting and 1 or 2 other things, and the next video may be in something like 2 or 3 weeks rather than waiting a month, which is what I tried to do. So this is shorter than some of my other ones. It's really an update, because as you can see, the layout does look pretty sorry for itself, with various bits in different places. But it's gone on quite a considerable way, because I think I'm pretty close now to being able to get on with the most difficult part, which is wiring all those points in. Which will be done one at a time and tested, and then so that if there is a short circuit, I know what's causing it. It doesn't take too long to do each point as you go in, but it is worthwhile just doing it slow and steady, I think, rather than trying to do too much too soon. Because I think one of the things with the 3 over here when I was doing them is I did all 3 points together, wired them all up together, set them going, and so when something was going wrong, I didn't know which one of the points was causing the problem. So I won't make that mistake again. But it is, sort of trial and error. I think that's pretty much everything. Oh no, I'd forgotten one thing. This is again was somebody in response to one of my earlier videos was asking a question about High Elven, which will sit here in the eventually on a high level, and about how I was going to get the train up there. And of course my intention is that it's the pannier with an auto coach, and the auto coach is currently waiting at the post office for me to pick up. But it just has always been a nagging doubt in my mind about why the line went up to High Elven, because just for passenger traffic it was highly unlikely it would ever have been built for that purpose. And James Edwards, in asking me those questions and talking about the layout and how it might work, and will I have a goods facility there, and was there going to be a run round, just really made me think that I've got to sort that, because just as a passenger loop you wouldn't waste the money to build it just for a few passengers to go up to a village. And of course the answer came to me that High Elven is the place where the barley and the hops are loaded from the farms in the top end to bring down to the brewery. Now that means that actually High Elven needs to be much more than just a station, which is what's intended to be, running along this back border station with a little engine shed. So once I've got all these points and things down, I shall be going back to the drawing board about designing how much of this area here is under High Elven and what's there. And almost certainly now a goods facility is going to be there to allow materials to be brought down to the brewery. So that really is it now, I think. That's pretty much everything. With thanks to James for his comments in my past video and to Rodney. Please do feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and responding to them, which I try always to do. And I look forward to speaking to you in a couple of weeks' time when perhaps I'll have more to show than this work area. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.